Tough night in Utah for the Toronto Raptors as the Jazz take it 119-103. I'm Randy Urban, and this is Raptors Night Cap. Tonight, we're joined by Leo Rautins, Paul Jones, and Jack Armstrong. Jack, the Raptors outscore the Jazz by 7 in the second. They go into the lead they go into the half with a small lead, but then are outscored 31-17 in the third. What did you see contributed to that reversal?
You know, it's interesting. You know, you watch this game tonight, and the thing that jumps off the table at me is the fact that, you know, you outscore them in terms of creating turnovers, opportunities off the offensive glass, and those have been the formula to win. And the Jazz in the third quarter just came out really focused and played a super third quarter. And the Raptors just had no answers for it. But, you know, when you look at the totality of the game and you look at what took place tonight, a lot of the things that the Raptors need to do to be successful was in place. And unfortunately, when you actually watch the game and you say, okay, the numbers say one thing, but the game says another, I think the third quarter said that to us a lot. In terms of just the energy from the Jazz, the efficiency, the next level performance. And I think a big problem tonight for Toronto is the fact that, you know, obviously undermanned tonight with a bunch of guys out of the lineup. And you look at, you know, what the Jazz were able to get in terms of the second unit performance, and the Raptors weren't. As we got into the late stages of the quarters, and you had to go to your bench and you're playing at altitude, it made a difference.
Mm-hmm. Jonesy, why did the Raptors have so much trouble guarding the paint tonight?
Look, they Utah, I felt like at times I was watching Stockton Malone, the way they ran the screen and roll stuff. I mean, there were times they'd run the screen and roll and the Raptors didn't have the size and the bulk. And even though they played it well, you know, we talk about stretching the floor laterally. Well, Utah was stretching the floor vertically tonight. They'd throw it up there, and Whiteside and Gobert are going up to get it and finishing. And then there were times when the Raptors would rotate over. I mean, there was a classic case in the third quarter. They ran the screen and roll from the left side of the floor. Guy was coming to the middle with his right hand. Gobert sets a screen, rolls down down Main Street. The weak side that's all the way over on the right side, I think it was Trent Jr. He jumps into the lane to discourage the pass to Whiteside or to Gobert, and then they fire it right across along the foul line extended, 3-point line on one side to the other side, and you got a guy catch and shoot. That's a practice shot. So at that point, it's pick your poison. Are you going to give up a dunk, or are you going to give up the three? Mm-hmm. So give Utah credit for kind of having a game plan and knowing what they could exploit and staying with it. They didn't get enticed into going away from things that work for them. So I give them credit. I thought they did a good job. And to Jack's point, the Raptors didn't have the personnel tonight. And I'm not saying that as an excuse. It's a fact. And Utah is one of the highest scoring teams in the league. Hey man, it's not just Toronto that suffered this fate at the hands of the Utah Jazz. Many teams have. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, Leo and Jack, Randy, it seemed like Donovan Mitchell was kind of quiet tonight. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a quiet 20 points, but they just made noise in so many other places. And then I thought their defense picked up in the second half too, taking away some of the stuff that Toronto was successful with late in the first half.
Well, and Leo, you know, 19 threes for Utah in this one. And it feels like a bit of a pattern for the Raptors defensively guarding the three. Are you seeing that, and how do they clean it up?
Well, okay, so you got 19 threes. I think it's 9 more than the Raptors got. Utah shot 55%. How many games have we seen this now where opponents are shooting well over 50%? Mm-hmm. You don't win at home. You definitely don't win it on the road when you're giving up those kind of percentages. So Utah, you got to remember, this is a team that's supposed to be a contender in the West. This is a good team. When you go into Utah, when you're at full strength playing good ball, it's still a very difficult game. And the Raptors are not at full strength, as Jonesy pointed out. Not an excuse, just reality. They're not doing the things that they talked about at the beginning of the season to be who they are, and that's defensively, length, using your quickness, using your size, creating problems. They're not doing that. So if you're not doing those things, you're relying a lot on people to carry you offensively. You're not at 100%. That's not going to happen. So right now, it's a difficult stage for this team. They got a lot to clean up. They got a lot to get through. They have to get healthy, and they're putting pressure on other parts, like a Scotty Barnes or a Pascal Siakam was trying to get back in, that aren't going to be able to deliver for you right now. So it's just something that I think the big thing is defensively. They have to somehow get back to what the original plan was for this season to be game changers in how they play at that end of the floor.
The other thing, Leo, I thought, they got beat on the boards tonight too. And that's, part of their defense is securing rebounds. They did a really good job. I have to check the numbers. I don't think they've won a game this year in which they've been out rebounded. And Utah did a nice job. Again, the size, he did a nice job on the boards tonight.
Mm-hmm. Jack, one of the bright spots for the Raptors was once again Gary Trent Jr. averaging over 20 in his last 4. Did you expect this kind of production from him coming into the season?
Honestly, no, because I felt like, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam are at such a really good place in terms of their development. I didn't think there'd be enough shots for him. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with Siakam out to start the season, he's had more opportunity to be very effective, and he really has. The thing that just jumps off the page at me, above and beyond the offense, and the offense has been really good, it's just been his engagement offensively of being a good teammate, moving the ball, and obviously defensively, he's been great. His active hands, his active feet, really playing with great energy. And that's hard to do and do 20 points a game. Like you're playing as hard as he's playing on the other end. Sometimes it shows in your offense. It shows to me the guy's an incredibly physically fit athlete.
Leo, when you look at Trent's game, do you think that this is a sustainable output for him for the rest of the season? Is he capable of these kind of numbers? He had 31 tonight, maybe not 31, but he's capable of these games throughout the season?
Yeah, because, he's a guy that can hit shots off the screen. He can create his own shots off the dribble. He runs the floor. He creates offense off his defense. So, yeah, why not? The one thing I said, on one of our previous shows, the one thing I wanted to see from Gary Trent Jr. was not those explosive quarters, but consistent quarters, right? You'll see him have a, 10, 12-point quarter and then a 0-point quarter or 2-point quarter. What is really going to help the Raptors, you can have those explosive quarters, but you got to be consistent throughout the other quarters. And, but think about what he's doing right now. OG, not there. Pascal, struggling. Okay. You don't have a Chua, so take advantage of the opportunity, right? There's shots, take them. And what I like about it, you don't have to convince them to take them. There's a lot of guys going, hey, okay, what do we hear? Granted, he's a rookie. What do we hear Nick Nurse keep telling Scotty Barnes? Shoot, take more. You don't have to tell Gary Trent Jr. take more shots. He's going to take them. I like that. To me, it's a lot easier to tone a guy down, to rein him in a little bit, than to encourage him to shoot. I don't want to encourage anybody to shoot. I want, if you can score, score. If you can put the ball on the floor and attack. I'll tone you down. That's my job as a coach. But as a coach, when I have to get you to do that, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Jonesy, with OG out tonight, I thought it would open the door for Pascal to take another step forward with his play, but he just didn't, right? Why do you think he struggled?
I think it's a timing thing still, Randy. I mean, he had so many good looks. And the one thing I will say is he's not turning them down. He's shooting them like he's with conviction. He catches it and he fires that thing, and he's surprised when it doesn't go in. Maybe he's getting a little bit disappointed now, but you can't turn shots down, because that starts to mess with your confidence. It starts to mess with the team's defensive balance. there are the ebb and flow of the game. When a certain guy gets the ball in a certain spot in certain conditions, everybody expects him to shoot. Defensive balance, rebounding, it's all predicated on that. When a guy starts turning those down, now we have problems. Pascal's at least not turning down. He's still aggressive. He's getting into the lane. He's posting up a little bit here and there. I think it's only a matter of time before his timing comes back and he's going to start making those. But tough night, and you keep working your way through it. Remember, he was off for a long time. And I keep saying this. This is about the time we thought we might start to see him. He's been back a bunch of games now. So you just know that at some point he's going to crack through.
Jack, what did you see from Pascal? I thought he was at times, as Jonesy said, he did take those shots, but at times I felt a little passive.
Well, I think you automatically do become passive when you're struggling a little bit and you get a little timid. And I think he's sensitive to the fact that he's been back and the team has struggled a little bit. So I think he says, I think you at times maybe defer a little bit and say, maybe I should try to be complimentary instead of primary in this situation. But, obviously for the Raptors to be successful, he needs to be successful. So that'll come. I'm just happy that he's out there. There was so many questions about his engagement, his connection with the team, all that. I don't see any of that. I see a guy who's happy. I see a guy who's connected. I see a guy who's really into what they're doing. And to me, I think overall, it'll come. It's going to come. He's working his way back into game shape, and you can't expect him to be at, as the guys were saying, at an incredibly high level when he's still trying to get his sea legs.
All right, let's go a little bit overtime here, guys. Just real quick. Leo, Birch was effective in his minutes today, and I thought his tandem with Fred VanVleet and the short pick and roll and stuff was really sharp. When you look at Birch, what's a good number for him to be the most effective on this team in terms of minutes?
I think he's one of those guys that, you know what you're going to get from him, right? So my personal opinion would be, for example, I like Khem Birch as a starter. I would like, and again, there's confidence issues and there's, future issues and all these other things. But a Precious Achiuwa, to me, is an energy guy that's going to come in off the bench, and it's either going to happen or it's not, right? And when your bench guy comes in and it happens, you ride it, you go with it, right? Khem Birch, you just know what you're going to get every time he's on the floor. And to me, that's a starter, right? That's a guy that gives you stability. That's a guy that, and then again, when he starts, he comes in at different parts of the game. So I think his minutes kind of depend on what's going on out there, right? Because he's going to give you solid fundamentals defensively. He moves the ball. He gets to the right places. He sets the screens on the offensive end. I think he's one of those guys that if you don't really know the game and you don't really watch the game, you might not understand everything he brings to the table, but he brings an awful lot to the table. And so, he's a guy that if he's on the floor, I think you're going to get a lot of good things happening. So I think, it's really going to come down to how maybe other guys are playing, what roles you put other guys in, how well they do it. But Khem is a steady Eddie, just like Fred VanVleet. You want to keep him on the floor as much as you can.
Jonesy, your overtime question is concerning Scotty Barnes. We know that Coach Nick Nurse wants 19 shots approximately from this kid every night. How do you get that from him? Because I feel like I just want more, right? I want more from him in the game, because when he does do something, it's always effective. What's up, Cooper? That is awesome.
Sorry, guys.
Leo, licking the wounds of the loss.
Yeah, there it is. I think he's still kind of feeling his way, Randy. And, people want him to be more aggressive, but some of that, not all of it, some of that in terms of taking over is not always, it is sometimes, but it's not always his nature. He plays a team game. He likes to get others involved. he does his share of scoring. He takes his share of shots, but I think that's a role that, as much as people are prodding him, he's going to have to grow into that. He really is. I mean, he came from a college system where, Leonard Hamilton preached it's about the team. I think he did a good job in showing Scotty that and getting him to understand that. And now he comes to the pros and you're trying to say, okay, it's about the team, but you need to do this for the team. And I think he's still growing into that role as a rookie.
Hey, Jack, last question and we'll wrap it up. For you, you're going to go into the locker room tomorrow as the coach of the Toronto Raptors. What are you saying to them to get a win in Sacramento?
Well, I say that ultimately, I first of all, I talk to Pascal Siakam and I say, still keep being aggressive, please. That's the first thing, because they need him to be successful. And secondly, I talk to my trainer and say, can I have any of my guys back? And I would say the third thing, I would say the third thing is, hey, guys, we need to hold them. Forget this number, that number, offensive rebounds, turnovers, yada, yada, yada. We need to hold these guys to about 100, 105 points. How about it? I mean, whatever way, however that's going to happen, I got to look up at the scoreboard each quarter and they can't have more than 25. And if I can look at that number, then we're going to have a chance to win. But Pascal, I need you to be Pascal Siakam. We got to be more consistent defensively. And hopefully you get a guy or two back. If you don't, then, hey, man, Malachi Flynn, Mihailuk, guys like that, I need a little something out of you tonight because we're on a back-to-back. And I need to turn to somebody and you need to have make a play or two. And usually most players in that situation, like, yeah, I'll bet, you give me an extra 5 minutes. Sure. I'll hoist a few more shots up. Count me in.
All right. Got to stop you there. Great stuff as always, fellas. I really appreciate you doing this. Next game for the Raptors tomorrow night in Sacramento. Tip-off goes at 10 p.m. Eastern. We will see you then.